All right, everyone. My name is DalSifoDyas. I'm super nervous, and besides that, I'm a teacher for the 2D teacher. And I joined the AU around 2 months ago, and I joined the Skywind project around 8 months ago, so end of January. And since then, I collected a lot of experiences I'd like to share with you today, and I really would like you to not repeat my mistakes, and since I make a lot of mistakes, there's a lot to learn. So I hope I can fill this hour, and don't worry, you don't have to do much. You can just, kick back and relax. I will mostly do the talking. If you have questions, I can already spoiler that right now. There will be a question section later. Because I hope that I will have most points just covered up in all the topics. So it would be nice if you could just write your questions down for after the presentation. And then we can, I'm fine with answering everything even beyond the hour mark. That's totally fine for me. So, at first, I further want to get into just generally what is concept art, because it's just more than drawing pretty pictures. After that, just show a little bit of what I learned, where your place as a concept artist would be in a project, in any project really, be it a movie or a video game. Then just general tips. I've went to ArtStation, looked up some of the most professional concept artists and tried to analyze what are they doing and what can you learn from them. As a fourth, this will be my big, these are the mistakes I made in the past months, and that's what I learned about it, and the answer questions. So, the fundamental skills every concept artist needs, or every artist needs. First of all, you will need to be disciplined because it's super important that as an artist, if you really want to be an artist, you should draw daily because you can be as talented if you want, but if you don't put the hard work in, you will still not reach your goal. So this is something I really recommend, because I've tried to teach a lot of people how to draw in the past years, and most of the time after 3 or 2 weeks people drop off. They don't come back, so to speak. But you really need to stay at it if you really want to be an artist one day. So don't underestimate just how much really, repeating the same drawing sometimes can help you to develop, and it's really a grind to become a better artist. Just with guitar or with any other thing in the world, you really need to sit down and learn. Then don't forget, don't be disheartened. Starting something new off is hard. And even if you're already drawn for a few years, if you didn't approach it in a decent manner, there's still the chance that you haven't really learned something. You might be, how to hold a pen, but let's say the real fundamentals of art aren't still there. That's what happened to me. I always say I've been drawing since I was born, so for 33 years now. I'm really old. But only 4 years ago, I really started to sit down, read books, and actually became decent at it. So don't be disheartened. Just stay at it. The next thing is time management. Mostly because it's really easy today to be really sidetracked by video games or by Netflix or by whatever. I can highly recommend, if you're playing a video game, have a timer running for 3 hours, and when the timer goes off, sit down and do 1 hour of drawing, for example. And if you have a deadline for something in 3 weeks, don't start in 2.5 weeks, start now. It's just really, it's besides being good for learning art, it's just really a life skill to have that self-discipline and know how to manage your own time. And the third thing is stay healthy, because your body is your tool. If you can't hold a pen anymore, you can't draw anymore. And I wouldn't make this point if I didn't have friends which are professional artists, and sometimes most of them have gotten to a point where they couldn't hold a pen anymore, which I'm serious. They couldn't close their hand anymore because their hand was so stressed and cramped, and they had carpal tunnels and all that. They couldn't close their hand anymore. So they had to wrap their pen into a giant sock and just grab the sock to be able to keep on drawing. So really take good care of yourself, or you will have a bad time. And now, this is the actual important stuff. This is probably the stuff you're coming here, not for the boring life lessons, but for the art part. You should really start to get into forms. Actually, today in the 2D channel, I uploaded a short video there where I started to talk a little bit about that. Perspective, value, shading, and colors. I like to think those are more or less the basics every artist of every job should have. I will later talk about the different arts of artist jobs there are today, because it's not just concept art, of course. But these are the things which is really worth finding the right books, sitting down and learning those things, because it will help you no matter which artist job you will later like to pursue. You know, the art skills and the life skills. And having decent life skills really helps you as a good fundament for art skills. Moving on, so like I said, there are different kinds of art skill jobs. So besides the pillars or the fundamentals we talked about before, so basic knowledge, there's concept art, for example, illustration artists, environmental artists, comic artists, keyframe artists, animation artists, but there would also be architectures, or I don't know, there are a lot of different arts of jobs in the field of video games, of movies, car commercials, all those things. Artists are actually used at many places today, but you know, it's a different kind of breed here and there. Of course, there are some people which are good enough to do both concept art and illustration, or comic and animation. But generally, it's good to say, okay, I'm going to focusing on this one thing now. And if I pick up the skills for the other things on the go, nice, but I really want to do this one thing. So to distinguish them more, for example, a concept artist really needs to understand their shapes. I will later have an entire chapter about this topic, so I won't talk about this now so much. But this is really important because the other artists are relatively lucky to not have to deal with this. It's just a shape. It's really just getting a thought into people just by using certain shapes of if this character is nice or approachable, or if a person is dangerous, an animal is dangerous. You can really just have certain emotions delivered just by using the right shapes at the right spot. So that's something a concept artist really needs to know about. An illustrationist, environmentalist, comic, keyframe artists, they all really need to know their composition. As a concept artist, you don't need to really know much about composition. You can slap your concept art on a gray background, that's fine, as long as your concept works. But an illustrator or all the others, they really need to know how to present whatever they're drawing right now, because that's their job, basically. For example, this is an example for the most basic art of compositions. I'm sorry. I forgot a word there. And all those funny things, you know, how to split up an image properly, how to use black and white, how to use thumbnails. Not a concept art business, really. That's an illustrator's business or a comic artist's business. Concept artist, it's good to know, but it doesn't hurt you if you're not perfect in it, you know? Next up, the sequential movement. The illustration artist doesn't need to know how to really imply sequential movement, neither does the concept artist. But these guys over here, they really need to know that. So, for example, like I said before, car commercials. This is how they planned a car commercial. You really need to show movement. You have to have satisfying movement, and it's the same with movies. They have these keyframes where they just try to show, plan the movie, plans the advertisement, and all those things. And again, something concept artist doesn't need that really. Good to know, but doesn't hurt to not know it. Advanced perspective. Basically, okay, yeah, sometimes you have to draw spiral staircases, but luckily not all of the times. But as a concept artist themselves, you mostly get away with a few tricky here or there, or no one will cut your head off if your perspective isn't perfect. As long as your idea gets across, you can get off with a lot of more incorrect work. so to speak. But on the other hand, a concept artist should know something about anatomy and some mechanical knowledge, especially if you want to draw a robot, or if you want to have some body horror or something. It's really good to then be able to stress a design. You know, like I say, I will later talk about specifically concept art again. Also, these guys, anatomy, comics, all those, yeah. Visual storytelling, also really important in some parts. You know, with visual storytelling, I don't mean what I showed before, because this is not sequential. These are all 5 different tests an artist did of the very same image. And this is the image they decided on in the end. But this is an illustration thing. An illustration artist mostly does 5 to 6 different thumbnails and decides later on which thumbnail will deliver the story the best in one image. But that's a completely different beast that concept artists mostly really don't have to deal with. So, the most important part, the most important part as a concept artist is you need to be innovative. And that's why I always say concept art goes way beyond drawing pretty pictures, because you can actually draw pictures which aren't that beautiful, as long as the idea you have on your designs really, you know, stays in people's minds, and you can really be a trendsetter as a concept artist. Before the Matrix movies, no one wore black trench coats or anything like that. After the Matrix movies, you know, everyone started to wear those stupid things. Before that, no one did. So even something that already exists, you can combine it in a new way. You can place it in a new surrounding, and already it all of a sudden works. And that's an innovation that's hard to learn, but something that you really, really need to get into. For example, I love this guy, Eric Gors. You should really look up his stuff, because I love this idea of you have this daily object in your hand and you look at it and you're like, this form is interesting, or this shape is approachable to me. What can I make out of this? And he did this whole series of turning daily objects into spaceships. And I have more examples of that later. And it's so great because it works so well, and the designs are really easily to understand, you know, with the hangers here and all that, but it's really fresh and new somehow. I've never seen spaceships like that, especially the Chiracha one. I've never seen the Chiracha spaceship. It's great. Yeah, you know, that's our trade. Well, not my trade, I'm a comic artist, but that's a concept artist trade. Innovation, that's really the big one. So for concept artists, what other subgroups are there? Also, sorry, I have to jump back. This is a subjective opinion, because I've also delved relatively deep into this topic, because I wanted to actually show an objective truth, but you can't show an objective truth here, because some people will say, oh no, you absolutely need this in this trade, or you need that, or no, you don't need this. This is something I mostly just created to show you the difference in all of these different jobs. There's an absolute perfect possibility that I'm missing stuff you absolutely need, and vice versa. So this isn't set in stone. And it's the same here. So these are some of the concept art subgroups. For example, creature design. Creature designers, you know, they can body horror, like I said before, or nice animals, so to speak, approachable animals. Those are all things creature art designers do. Environmental artists speaks for themselves. Those are the people which really have to know their perspective and all that stuff. Character designs, obviously draw nice characters. And mechanical designs, even though I showed this presentation to my concept art lead for Skywind, and he said, oh yeah, but this is already this is not really mechanical design, this is already character design. But to be honest, I forgot to switch out the image, so mechanical design is even more mechanical. And you can absolutely say, I'm specializing in one of those topics right now, because right now for us in Skywind, we say we right now only want environmental design artists, because all other slots are actually filled. We would only need someone who really knows the environmental design. Can't really use anyone else right now. So you can be proficient enough in all of those different subgroups, or you can really say, I'm going for this one thing. And just as a tip, most people are character designers. So, if you really want to find your own thing, I did credits artist there. I just need to push one more there. See, it's even linked. So I will later share. I'm sorry, Dega. I added an extra clip to this. So here's all the stuff. Always credit the artists. Don't worry, I did it all over my presentation. But thank you. So yeah. The concept art in a project. This is a little bit shorter chapter, so don't worry. So first of all, someone has to have a need for your work. So some idea is born, or some a writing idea is born, something like that, and that is given to the concept artist, so to you, and you create something, and people would start chewing over it and give you feedback. You will work on it again. It's really a circle. It will take some time until it's right. On average, it can take between a week and 4 months until we settle on a design, sometimes even longer. So don't be disheartened if your first design is rejected, or your second, or your third, or your fourth. Really, it happens. After that, pretty much directly after that, the 3D people get in their hands. And that's why I'm in the 2D channel. I always said, be really clear about your design. So add Google images, add textures. It doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily have to look pretty. If you want for your ArtStation or something, you want to have a pretty page, make it just a completely different file, what you give the 3D people to what you're putting on your ArtStation. Because the 3D people will get back to you. Nearly every time I'm designing something, the next day, if a 3D person got the task to make this in 3D, I have a DM and they're like, okay, yeah, can we have a short call? I have questions. So even though I really try to be obvious in my designs, I still have questions, because I can't draw something at every perfect angle, or sometimes they do have a question or say, oh no, this doesn't work mechanically, and you will always work together with these people. But it's really important that you are clear about your work, because it's something that happened to us. I will talk about that later. Sometimes we have concept art which is accepted, and then we give it to 3D, and 3D, they implement it, and then it goes on to the rigging, or it's get implemented, and then we notice, oh, we can't use this. Damn, we invested so much time in this, but because the foundation of the design had a flaw we didn't think about, oh no, it didn't work out, which isn't your fault in that case. There are so many people had your design in hand and could have noticed that and didn't. So don't have hard feelings about it, but yeah, you're really part of a team here, so you need to talk to a lot of people and really accept criticism, because most of the time it has nothing to do with your artistic abilities. It just has something to do with the language you try to convey, and it's not fitting what they want yet. So really, really don't take it personally, and try to be as clean as possible in your designs. Then the general tips now. I really love this quote: bad artists imitate, great artists steal. There's a lot of truth to it. A lot of truth. So basically, like I've already said in the 2D channel a lot. Oh no, I think I forgot to credit this people. I'm sorry. This is from Last of Us 2, and I forgot what this is from. I'm sorry. Shit, I'm a bad person. Don't be afraid to photo bash. Don't be afraid to use references or textures. Kit bashing, what Desiree just said with, can someone make me a 3-dimensional stairs so I can use them and paint over them? That's kit bashing, basically. Don't be afraid to use that, because we are not creating pretty pictures right now. We are creating new objects. We want another person most of the time to be able to understand, realize, and have people understand it on the first go. So it's really no shame to just use whatever is available to you. Only tools, no rules. Like I said, it's probably a different matter what we will put on your ArtStation, but inside the project you can really go dirty. And also try to save time, because sometimes you will need to do 30 or 40 iterations of the very same design. So make yourself a nice model of something and just draw over that over and over again, just so you don't have to draw new bases every time. That will just be helpful for the project in general if you're a little bit quicker. Then this is an example of a mood chart one of us in the project did, Furion. He's freaking amazing. He's also a member of the Skyblivion team and the Skywind team. And we recently had a debate over the Daedra, how we wanted to portray them in game. So he did this beautiful mood chart here. Yeah, Furion, for example, did all the lead loading screens in Skyblivion, and really he's amazing. So he made this beautiful mood chart, and that's generally a really good step when you're approaching a new topic. Just start to Google things you think about when you hear this word or when you hear the topic, and try to create something which will get you in the right mood if you look at it. For example, this body horror, this kind of human but something is off thing, you know? And this is just because he's amazing. He did this in like 5 minutes, you know. He created this head drawing out of it. And even if you feel like these things don't have much to do with this, there's still influence here. And this is, again, speaking of the quote, it's not about copying something, but you just gotta, you know, the inspiration is there, and that's important. I'm serious. You have no. This was so quick. He's ridiculous. He's amazing. So yeah, you know, for example, this is famously thrown around in the 2D channel, and we're like, yeah, here, use the spooky cloth. Oh yeah, use the spooky cloth, you know. Or the other day we had a lot of Shakira's apps in our channel when we started about Vivek or Almalexia, and you know how we wanted to draw them, how many muscles we wanted them to have or not, and it's just really helpful to just widely start to find images of how people look when they're at a certain weight, or when they're sporty or not sporty, or what kind of sporty they are, and all of those things are very valuable to you. So don't underestimate Shakira's apps. Okay, and third general tip, this is what I said before, shapes. Shapes are really just everything, and this shape language is subtle. That's why some people, or why I myself was really surprised when I got into this concept art. The shapes are what really conveys the character to people. So I really like this quote. So Scott Flanders drew this, and he made he wrote this comment to these silhouettes, and I really like this. And because I'm a cheesy idiot, I will just read this to you now and force you to listen. Silhouettes are an important part of my character development process. They are a very useful tool for evaluating and unifying the visual relationship amongst the broad character roster. I am primarily concerned with shape and gesture at this stage, and if a concept appears to be working at this scale, then I start to get excited. And that is really true, because, for example, I could show you just the silhouette of Darth Vader and you would recognize Darth Vader. Or I could show you, you know, what's his face? The Mandalorian. I could show you a Mandalorian and you would probably say it's either the Mandalorian or Boba Fett or both. But generally there are iconic silhouettes, and those didn't just happen by accident. So this was a designer who really had the intention to create something good and something obvious. And that's why when we start a new design, just go wild with the silhouettes, consider which shapes would support. Yes, I'm a Star Wars fan. Which shapes would support the character further. And I will also show you examples of that in a bit. So what shapes am I talking about? For example, this is actually from a Disney handbook, which I thought was really funny. So generally circles, if you draw a character in with a circle, yeah, they're approachable, they're nice. And people, if you have a foundation of a triangle, they're not that approachable and a little bit mysterious, and the square people are solid, sturdy. Those are, in quotations, cliches, but it's kind of true. So don't overdo it, like this cat, just because it's supposed to be round, not everything has to be round. But this shape language is something you really need to look into if you want to be a successful concept artist. And it's not just about these shapes. You can, of course, have a wider range of different shapes. But this is really important for concept art in general. I posted a video in the 2D channel the other day about this as well. So here you can see advanced shapes were used to create this guy in armor, and you can already feel the difference. So I'm saying, so this is rounder, so this feels like someone who's a protector of some kind, where this triangle shape feels a little bit more aggressive already, and this has a different feel. All of these, even though it's the same base character, there's a different feel to this character. So and this is really the high art of concept art, and this is where some concept artists are really fought out by studios and some are not, because this is a subtle language you really got to learn and you really got to be good with. So here's something else by Eric Royce, the guy with the cool ships. And again, this is again about the innovation skill thing. So I know I repeated this person again, but I still think it's really impressive how innovative he is, with his ideas of ships and how something really alien to us, like spaceships, can still be drawn so very easily to understand. And I really like that. I love these designs. And again, also when you're designing something, you got to know, does my concept lead right now, would they prefer something that looks good or that's functional? Because if you look at many video games today, they have a certain style where the armors or something like that, they aren't functional. But they look nice, and that's okay. But if you want to do a nitty-gritty realistic game, for example, you really need to look out for the function first and then for the look. That's just something you will need to adjust to just how your project is going on. For example, in Skywind, we go rather for function than for style, but we accept if something is really cool, we still have it in there, even if it's a little bit unrealistic. So it's still fantasy, but we're not going the complete World of Warcraft big shoulder route right now. So yeah, learn from my mistakes. This is a little bit embarrassing, but yeah, like I said, I really want to share my experience with you since I joined Skywind. So this was an assignment I had. This is not my design right now. John Carpenter did these. We had these glass weapons designed, I don't know, last year or something before I joined the team. They went the whole cycle, and eventually they were started to be made in 3D, and we thought, these are nice designs, but somehow we want more. So the idea of more was, we want them to have a certain style. We still want the blades to be curved, that should stay. We want the weapons to be more artsy. We want them to look more valuable, because glass weapons in Morrowind were really expensive. They should obviously look fragile, and they're not to look like the Morrowind ones at all. So this became my task. Take this design and overhaul it into what's written here on the side. And this is a Morrowind set, just so to remind you people. So the Morrowind set is pretty much the opposite of what I just read to you, because the Morrowind set is really straightforward, Middle European, straight blades, all that stuff. So yeah, I started to work on it, and this was my first iterations, because everyone said, oh, we like the blades. I thought, okay, neat, this will be easy. I will be done with this stuff in an hour. I can just, make everything a little more fancy, and it's fine. But it, didn't work out. So I made another iteration. I was like, okay, I'll be a little bit more cleaner this time, maybe use some nicer colors. And again, didn't work out. So I started to look into, my concept artist lead said, hey, how about you use silhouettes? And I was like, what the fuck? These are weapons. What am I supposed to silhouette here? I don't get it. So I tried it, I really did, but I didn't quite get what he wanted from me yet, because I was an idiot. I didn't know what shape language was. I didn't know how to use silhouettes, because so far I've only drawn pretty pictures and I was happy with it. So yeah, none of this was accepted either. It was just too top heavy. It just didn't fit at all, and it was, wasn't the right thing. So I went on. This is when our coder said he would really like the glass weapons to have a steel backbone of some kind. And I like this idea, because if we have to put extra steel into it just so the weapons work, have a certain bit of functionality, it would really emphasize the fragility, because if we don't have like these iron inlays in here, they would just break if we hit something, and we will have a higher fragility for the glass weapons in our games. So, this worked out fine, and the general idea, this is the handwriting of God, so of my concept artist lead, he kind of liked it. This whole idea, a few changes, okay. So I tried to work with that. I was pretty happy at the stage that I finally got something. So I started to go into this direction, and this is finally where they actually started to, where this whole idea of, okay, how do we want them to be curved, we want them to look variable, they're still weapons, so they need a certain bit of functionality, and everything came together slowly. Again, the handwriting of God over here. And it slowly but steadily came together. I was really happy at that point, because generally everyone said, okay, we accept this blade. This blade can be like the first one in the set. But this was kind of a lie, because after that my concept art lead said after all, okay, yeah, but still change it. So I became a little bit sad and thought, okay, fine, I can do this. We changed it again, and I think this is actually 90% there. So it's a stage. As you can see, we changed the design again for functionality's sake, because if you really want to pierce this blade into someone's heart, if you have this metal backbone over here, this metal backframe, you would get stuck. It's really hard to push this into someone's heart. It's not comfortable to murder someone with something that gets stuck all the time. So instead, I made this, glide nicely through your enemy's body. So this was the alteration that was just needed, and now it looks a lot more like a weapon, but it's also still really exotic, and that's generally what we wanted to go for. So I was happy again, because I thought, oh yeah, I got this, no problem. I'm done in 5 minutes. I got the blades, I got the general style down, no problem. But it wasn't true. So I did all of these different, I thought, yeah, right, I can just go ahead and do all of them. I have this one blade, that's enough for me. Which didn't work out. At this point, another of us actually suggested to use this katana wrapping around the handles, which is a great idea, because it looks really valuable now. But yeah, the axes, the spears and the halberds and all that, my design lead just wasn't happy with it. So I gave this whole silhouette thing another go, and I really said, okay, I would really try to do something decent. These all are really crazy. And he, and the poor soul, so my concept artist lead, actually went through every single one of our silhouettes and picked each part out he liked the most. And this is how these final things here were created. And yeah, they actually turned out pretty nicely after that. Surprise, surprise. Because the silhouette itself already read so nicely that for me, creating the final product after that became rather easy, surprisingly, to me personally, because I didn't know better. So the silhouette really helped me here. And I think, yeah, and this is the final set. So this is what it all became at the end. And what I didn't know, but what my concept art lead knew, he had this shape, like just this plain dagger blade shape or something. He had it in there all the time. And it's really a simple shape, but it's always there. It's always a callback. And it's not always obvious, but all of these weapons have obviously belong to each other, but they all have their distinct forms. Shapes, sorry. I shouldn't always interchange forms and shapes. Those are two completely different words in art form. So yeah, this was my terrible. It took me 4 months to do this, and it's not unusual for us to take so long. For my other 2D co-lead, Vugra, she made the iron deck, the iron weapon set pretty much at the same time, and eventually he also just drew hundreds of silhouettes, and our lead just picked the nicest ones out because, I don't know, he's actually, our concept art lead actually works for Videogames studio, so he's actually a professional. And he, I don't know, worked at some games you actually know, Horizon Zero Dawn, for example. So that's really fortunate for us that we can trust him so well, and he's teaching us a lot. So I'm not actually talking out of my ass right now because I actually learned this from a professional. Yay. So, if you want to, you can ask questions. I'm sorry if you're all already asleep and I bored the heck out of you. This was my little presentation. And you can all unmute now and scream because it was terrible or boring, and I'm gonna drink something now. Yeah, yeah, that's always a problem. Yeah. So, I don't know if you have any more questions. I don't have any group work planned or anything like that. Boop. Yeah. A mobile phone. A fantasy fork. Yay. Yeah, I'll try. Oh god, that's really dangerous. Yeah, thank you. I think people often underestimate just how, because you go to ArtStation and you see people just be perfect at everything, but those are actually like the top 1%ers of the art world, and normal people just have like one specialization. And yeah, the front page is intimidating when you read like, oh, I'm freelancing, concept artist, illustrator, movie maker, and you're like, what the heck are you doing? Yeah. Yeah. Every time I go on ArtStation, I buy a new brush, so kind of stopped going there for some time. But on the other hand, it's really nice to see what people are doing and what the trends are. So just you gotta try to stay up to date, or else you will have other problems. Also, you need to find good work to imitate. I mean, it always depends what you want to do, because I'm pretty sure that sometimes having a fresh idea is actually not good, because if it's too challenging, people might just not understand what you're doing. I mean, I personally, like I said, I'm actually more of a comic artist, so I only drew comics for 12 years, and I only, or mostly, joined Skywind because I wanted to challenge myself to be more innovative, because I only drew fan art, and you don't really have to come up with shit when you're a fan artist, you know, you can just recycle other people's ideas. So I wanted to try to become a better designer, and so trying to be a concept artist is really, really a challenge if you have no fucking idea what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, my comics were my comfort zone. $5 to whoever finds that comic. Just Dal. No, like I said, I'm absolutely not a concept artist. No, deviant art. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, there used to be a German page I hung out, but no one knows that anymore. Animex. Oh. Ooh. I think at this point my account has been deleted, but actually on Animex I was a member of the biggest RPG ever. We had like 10 trillion sites. It was really funny. And it was a Star Wars RPG, of course. I used to be one. I used to be a member, but I stepped out eventually. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the thing is I'm not really that much into anime and manga anymore, so it just wasn't so interesting to me anymore eventually. That's true. Maybe we RPG together at one point and don't know it. Yeah, I did cos. I'm still cosplaying. Even though I'm old. Oh god, yeah. Oh hey, maybe we've actually bumped into each other then. You've been to the Animagic in the last years? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. It was great. Yeah. Yay! Who's the... Yeah. Who's the Skywind asshole? I think this one is too far away. I'm too lazy now. I just happen to live next to the Animagic. Yeah, because the hall is is gone. Where it was. Yeah, yeah. Oh god. Yeah, possible. I don't know. They always move to the worst places. So how is everyone going on with the dolls? What? What? Yeah. I'm a person. Yeah. Every time you guys say dolls, I understand dolls and I feel addressed. I was about to say, I feel like I'm the only one drawing dolls right now. No. Right now it's find the shape you like and try to use that shape to create a silhouette, which is engaging. So really just a very, very, very first step of any kind of design. Oh, Geisses supports on Geisses? Yeah. Yeah. You know, the worst part was after I worked on it for 4.5 months, I come online one day and Reddit hates my design and actually made new posts about how they want the designs to be changed and how much I hate it, and that was just great. Love it. Nah, concept art is actually pretty much fun because you can do whatever you want. Honestly, I think illustration is just more pain to me because you just need to take care of it. This is just a final project. So many people will see. It's just I don't know. No, it's free. You can do whatever. Oh, no, shit, sorry. No, illustration, yeah. Illustration because you have to abide a lot of rules, so it's just not, it's working for people. You can't be as innovative, I'm sorry, yeah, of course. I mean, I don't know how you guys work, but at least for us, we have our concept art lead who we have a lot of trust in. And basically, if he says go, then I just pretty much blindly trust him, even if I'm not 100% on board with the design. Well, I mean, you can do a ping all and say, hey guys, can we change this? Also, something else I would like to say right now. I don't know if anyone is still watching my screen. I haven't drawn that much today because I've been doing texture work all day. So just a difference in there's actually something like a warm-up drawing, and people should really not underestimate how important warm-up drawings are. For example, these here are the first things I drew, and now this is the stuff I draw. So you really have to get into something, get into a mood, really start to get into drawing for a little bit until you really can start to churn out your best work. It's just like with sport, when you start to stretch or you warm yourself up and your best run is the last run of the day. It's a little bit like that with art too, so don't underestimate warm-up drawings. They're important. That's all. Maybe. Yeah, or just Dal is fine. Yeah. Okay, just give me like 1 last minute to talk about the dolls, and then I will end my own recording. Oh my god. Okay, so Sanctus, I really like your dolls. I really like that every approach is absolutely varied. That's pretty good. So all of these are different. That's already a good start. So yeah, I filled my page with my dolls. It's really a good exercise to just try to approach the same topic with different shapes and just try to come up with different designs. So yeah, I would say we're pretty much done here, right? Question mark. And yeah, I would end my recording and end my lesson, I guess. Thank you for listening to me, and have a great night.